The suitcase of a life unlived. The first thing Alara saw of Chicago was a crack in the ceiling of baggage claim. A pale, jagged line that felt like a bad omen. Around her, the happy, weary chorus of reunions played out squeals of delight. The heavy thud of suitcases being claimed. The rustle of winter coats as people embraced. Alara stood alone, her single worn duffel bag already at her feet, waiting for the last. Hard-shell spinner case on the carousel. It never came. As the conveyor belt stuttered to a halt, revealing only a few lonely, unclaimed bags, her heart sank with it. Her entire portfolio, her camera equipment, the few good clothes she owned, all gone. Vanished into the ether of travel mishaps, with a sigh that tasted of recycled air and defeat. She approached the lone, expensive-looking suitcase left. It was a sleek, gunmetal gray Toomey, devoid of any distinguishing tags or ribbons. It looked important. It felt heavy. In her desperation, a reckless thought bloomed. Maybe her bag had been taken by mistake, and this was its replacement. A swap. Karmic and fair. She hesitated for only a moment, her hand hovering over the handle, before she grabbed it and walked briskly towards the exit, the wheels clicking a guilty rhythm on the polished floor an hour later. In a cramped Airbnb that smelled of old coffee and disinfectant, she unzipped the suitcase. The scent that wafted out was clean, expensive sandalwood, and crisped cotton. Neatly folded within were rows of impeccably tailored men's suits, silk ties coiled like sleeping snakes, and a leather wash bag containing cologne that probably cost more than her rent. This was a catastrophic mistake. She was about to slam the lid shut when her fingers brushed against something hard and smooth, tucked into a side pocket. A small, velvet box. Her breath hitched. She opened it. Inside, nestled against the plush lining, was a woman's ring. But it wasn't an engagement ring. It was a cocktail ring, a stunning Art Deco piece with a central emerald surrounded by diamonds, elegant and bold. It was the kind of ring a woman would buy for herself, a declaration of independence and success. Tucked beneath the box was a folded note, written in a sharp, decisive hand. For the woman who built her own castle. Wear it in good health. And think of me. Always, eh? Elar's throat tightened. This wasn't just a suitcase of clothes. It was a life. A life of power, of love notes, of emerald declarations. And she had stolen it. Across the city. In a penthouse apartment where the lights of the Chicago skyline glittered like a scattered diamond necklace. Alexander Thorne was on the verge of breaking something expensive. He'd been pacing for an hour, his phone pressed to his ear. "No, it's not there," he bit out, his voice tight. "A gray Toomey. It has to be there." The airline representative's placating tone was a fresh wave of fury. It wasn't about the suits or the ties. It was about the ring. The ring he had commissioned for his mother, Eleanor, for her 60th birthday. The ring he was going to give her at the surprise party tomorrow. A tribute to the woman who had single-handedly built their family's company from the ground up after his father left. The note was for her. The A was for Alexander. The suitcase was a time capsule of his love and respect. It was gone. He ended the call and stared out at the city, his reflection a ghost in the glass. He was a man who commanded boardrooms, whose signature could move markets. And he was utterly powerless against the anonymous chaos of a baggage claim. Alara spent a sleepless night. The weight of the suitcase in the corner of the room feeling like a moral anvil. By morning, her conscience won. She couldn't keep it. Using the business card she found tucked into a portfolio, Alexander Thorne, CEO Thorne Industries, she sent a hesitant email from a temporary account. Explaining the mix-up and proposing a meeting place, he replied within minutes. His message was curt, devoid of gratitude. Only a time and an address. A quiet, upscale coffee shop near the Magnificent Mile. When she arrived, wheeling the offending suitcase behind her, he was already there. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe mid-30s. With the tired eyes of someone who carried the world on his shoulders, he didn't stand as she approached. "Mr. Thorne? I'm so sorry. There was a mix-up at the airport," she began, her voice trembling. His eyes, A cool, assessing gray flickered from her face to the suitcase. Is everything there? Yes. I didn't take anything. I just looked to find identification. Her cheeks burned. She thought of the ring of the note. There's a velvet box in the side pocket. His posture relaxed by a fraction of a degree. He gestured for the suitcase. As she pushed it towards him, her own duffel bag slipped from her shoulder, spilling its contents onto the floor. A tangle of thrift store sweaters, a well-loved copy of On Photography by Susan Sontag, and her cheap, plastic point-and-shoot camera clattered onto the polished concrete. A look of profound embarrassment washed over her. Her life, laid bare next to his, looked shabby and insignificant. To her surprise, Alexander knelt. He didn't just shove her things back into the bag. He picked up the camera, his large, capable hands surprisingly gentle. He turned it over, his thumb brushing the lens cap. "You're a photographer?" he asked, his voice softer now. "Trying to be," she mumbled. Gathering her sweaters, he looked from the camera to her face, and for the first time, he really saw her. He saw the frayed edges of her coat, the hopeful determination in her eyes, the honest shame of her spilled belongings. The icy CEO facade cracked. "This was my mother's," he said quietly, tapping the suitcase. The ring. The note was for her. She started our company with nothing. This was supposed to be a thank you. He let out a long, weary breath. "I thought it was gone forever. I thought I'd failed her." Lara's heart ached. "You didn't? It's right here." Their eyes met, and in that silent, charged moment, something shifted. The anger and anxiety bled away, replaced by a fragile, unexpected connection. He saw her not as a thief, but as a flustered traveler. She saw him not as an intimidating CEO, but as a devoted son. Let me buy you a coffee," he said, standing up. "To thank you." "For your honesty?" She nodded, a small, shy smile touching her lips. Maybe this disastrous trip held a sliver of magic after all. He gestured for her to sit, and as he did, his hand briefly brushed against hers. A spark, warm and undeniable, passed between them. It was then that his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and a genuine, relieved smile, the first she'd seen, transformed his face. "It's the airline," he said, his voice buoyant with relief. "They found your bag." Lara's smile widened. "Really? That's wonderful. They're sending it over to my building. I'll have my driver bring you. We can make the swap properly." He was being charming now, the powerful man offering a solution. "It's the least I can do." An hour later, standing in the marble lobby of his building, Lara watched as a uniformed driver presented her with her own familiar scuffed blue suitcase. The exchange was made. She had her life back. Alexander stood beside her, the gray Toomey at his feet. "Lara," he said, his voice intimate in the vast, echoing space. "I know this is unconventional, but would you allow me to make it up to you properly? Dinner, tonight." Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was a romance novel twist she never saw coming. "I'd like that," she whispered. He smiled, a brilliant, transformative thing. "I have to run upstairs to my apartment and drop this off. Wait here. 1 minute." He strode towards the private elevator, the suitcase rolling smoothly behind him. Lara watched him go, her mind spinning with the surreal turn of events. As the elevator doors slid open, she saw him step inside, his back to her. Just before the doors closed, he pulled out his phone, and she saw him bring it to his ear, his CEO mask slipping back into place. "Sarah. Cancel my mother's birthday reservation for tonight," he said, his voice crisp and clear, carrying across the lobby. "Something's come up." The elevator doors hissed shut. Lara stood frozen, the warmth from his touch still tingling on her skin. The words echoed in the silent, opulent lobby. "Something's come up." She looked down at her returned suitcase, then up at the floor indicator lights, climbing steadily towards the penthouse. The heartbreaking truth settled over her, cold and final. The connection, the vulnerability, the story about his mother. It had all been a performance. A convenient, charming lie to ensure the return of his property. She was just the something that had come up. A momentary distraction, a problem neatly solved, And the most devastating part was, for a few beautiful, fleeting minutes, she had truly believed the ring, the note, and the man were all real.